Hello, everyone. This is Lenard Guzman here with Emily Robinson on the Modern Divorce Podcast. It's August 10th, 2022. I'm seeing a lot of back to school ads coming up. It's that time of year. I know when I was in school, it was new shoes, new supplies, new backpack, and then that was it for the year. Like the backpack had to survive. The supplies had to last.
Yep.
Is it
I
different
know.
nowadays?
No, I mean, I remember my mom taking me to Payless every year to get new school shoes. I don't even think there is a Payless anymore. But this year, my 10-year-olds had to have brand name shoes. So I'm finally at that point now where now I have to actually shop for the brand names because he cares.
I did see some cool like Yeezys, and they were from Walmart. I asked like someone I met. I was like, "Hey, those are those new Yeezys?" And he's like, "You got them from Walmart." I mean, they're like copycats. I think they had to take them out of Walmart. You know, the copyright. Maybe it's too good.
Oh, yeah, they could have had copyright issues.
I would have bought them for I think what was it like $20. So it's that time of year. So do parents like go because I mean with inflation and everything, who covers these costs? They split them. Is this something that you're kind of hear? You know, you probably hear about every year. Like there's an argument. Um, how does that conversation go?
The argument that what? I didn't hear you. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. To pay for the school supplies, the new clothes.
Oh, yes. Well, parents fight over that. And then the parent paying child support says, you know, oh, that your child support should cover that. And then the other parent says, no, this is an extra expense that we should be splitting and all that. So that's that's basically, every year. And then it's such usually not that much money that it's worth going to court over. And they hopefully come to some kind of agreement on it. But yes, we have that argument every year.
So, like, what else comes up? Like, you know, back to school, Christmas presents are that's the next thing. But you would give a kid a gift of yours. You wouldn't split that. Does Halloween come up or anything?
Yeah,
Any other
every
thing?
holiday, every holiday is a fight. It's just you can fight over pretty much anything if you want to. People can find anything to fight over,
And I'm sure they do.
unfortunately.
Okay, let's get to the part of the show where we see the trends on Google. You know, things come up, whether it's financial things, celebrity divorces. They're not immune to messy divorces like us, like regular people. Um, so, like today, the topic is from marketwatch.com. It looks like we've covered this topic a lot. This one's about great divorce and how it could be financially devastating, especially for women. Marriage is about love, divorce is about money. So this specific person, after 25 years of marriage, Vicki Hickok found herself going through divorce in 2015 at 55 years old. That left her without the means to afford the expensive town in Western Washington State where she lived with her husband. Although she'd previously retired, she returned to the workforce after the divorce at the U.S. Postal Service to make ends meet. She eventually moved to Mexico for the lower cost of living and better lifestyle with just 3 suitcases and her dog. Never looked back. Hickok, who is now remarried and lives in Las Mexico. So here's a couple stats. In total, 36% of people who are getting divorced are over the age of 50, according to Susan Brown, professor of sociology and director of the Center for Family and Demographic Research at Bowling Green State University in Ohio, after findings in April 21 from the U.S. Census Bureau said that 34.9% of All Americans who got divorced in the previous calendar year were age 55 or older. That was more than twice the rate of any age group surveyed. So a couple things here. So many stats this morning. I love stats. It's like fantasy football.
Right.
So-called great divorce can financially be devastating, especially for women. Older women who experience a divorce see their standard of living declined by 45%. That's much more severe than for men, who see a 21% decline. For older adults, great divorce is not something they could recover from quickly. From an economic standpoint, there's less time to recoup the losses. If you're divorcing at 60 or 65, your ability to work much longer is hampered. It's much more difficult to bounce back. We've heard about this topic a lot more in the previous weeks, especially in the last, I'd say, you said here, year. So is this something that you see increasing?
Yeah, I think gray divorce is becoming a lot more common. I think one reason is because, people live a lot longer now. And, I think in the old days, people might have just said, oh, we're older, we're just going to stick it out. But now it's like they say, life starts at 50. Like you want to enjoy your older years. And so, you might live another 30, 40 years. So you might as well be happy. And I think people are seeing that as, not being that weird to restart your life, at 50 or even 60 now.
Yeah, so you're assuming people live to like, what's life expectancy, like 80-ish? 80-ish. I have a neighbor who's 84 and she's just living independently. She's like, I don't want to depend on my kids, and she does everything's functional. Like I mean, gosh, she's been dieting right. I mean that's what I noticed.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, people live so much longer now. They want to enjoy the rest of their life and be happy.
This is an interesting topic, this next one. Let's see. Politics and divorce kind of merging together here in this topic. Are Republicans coming for no-fault divorce? It was once very difficult for Americans to get divorced. Could it soon be again? So the first Supreme Court eliminated the federal right to an abortion in Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization. Then Clarence Thomas signaled that if he had his way, the right to contraception, same-sex relations, and gay marriage, established in these couple court cases: Griswold versus Connecticut, Lawrence versus Texas, and Obergefell versus Hodges. Could be the next on the chopping block, but that's not all. And now new media warns in a new report that American conservatives could be setting their sights on a no-fault divorce, which allows spouses to dissolve their marriage without proving wrongdoing by either party. So what are the American right-wingers saying about no-fault divorce? So they're saying, let's see, let's get a quick summary here. The closest we've gotten to a national prominent Republican speaking out against no-fault divorce is Ohio State Senate candidate J.D. Vance. Last September, Vance told a group of high schoolers that allowing people to shift spouses like they change their underwear was bad for children, and appeared to suggest that even violent marriages should be saved. Vice News, which first reported on the comment, asked Vance why he believed it would be better for children if their parents stayed in violent marriages and if they divorced, and whether he supported a federal law making divorces more difficult to obtain. So can you explain, so no fault divorce, if, somehow this was passed, which, it's anything's possible now. How would this affect, I guess it would go to states, kind of like abortion, but what's the, like, I know it says here that I know they're running on something where like violent marriages, like you wouldn't be able to get out of it. So it's making more difficult to have divorces, right?
Well, so we actually already have no fault divorce in California, where you don't have to have a reason to get divorced. It can just be whatever, whatever reason you want. Yes, if that were to change and you needed to be able to prove, you know, domestic violence or affair or some reason to get divorced, the issue is that then people spend so much time and money litigating fault and pointing fingers and doing a he said she said, that I think that's why they eliminated fault in California, because you don't want to spend all that time and money fighting over whose fault it is, when a lot of times it's both people's fault or no one's fault, or the marriage just didn't work. But that doesn't mean that there isn't protection for domestic violence and things like that. You can still get restraining orders. You can still get protection when there's violence. You can still be awarded spousal and or child support in a violence case. So there are protections for that. But the point of the no fault is so that you don't spend a ton of time and money litigating the cause of the divorce.
Okay, so let's get into the part of the show where we go over things people post online. We call it Ask Emily Anything. And people will post things about starting their divorce journey, child custody, who pays for the back to school supplies, things like that. Let's see. The first one we have today here is a getting started one. So when did you start telling people you and your ex aren't together anymore or in the process of a divorce? Do you wait until the divorce papers are done? Do you tell people as soon as you moved out, or right when you were separated, even when the papers weren't filed yet? My ex and I have some mutual friends. While it's none of their business, it's weird when they ask, how's it going? I love to hang out and I need to make an excuse or navigate the conversation to another topic. When's the best time to announce this?
I mean, I honestly think it's totally a personal decision. You have to do it when you feel it's right. And there is no right or wrong. If there's kids, I recommend telling the kids when you tell everyone else so they don't hear it through someone else, obviously. But then the other thing is, once you tell the kids, the cat's kind of out of the bag because they'll probably tell people. So I think though the best thing you can do is have an agreement with your spouse or partner about when to tell, so you're on the same page.
Okay, the next one's another getting started one. I'm handling a divorce a lot differently than I thought I would. It will be almost a month since my ex left. I've cried only once since then, and it was the night he left. Am I in shock? Will I wake up tomorrow in horrible emotional pain? Since he's been gone, I've felt tremendous peace and happiness with myself. I'm doing everything without him, and I feel liberated. I feel empowered. I always felt divorce would rock me to the core and destroy me, but it's done the opposite. I'm still waiting to be served divorce papers, and I'm not fighting him on it at all. It's just something that happens that's common.
Yeah, I mean, I'd actually say, I don't know if I'd say the majority, but there's many divorces where you're not going to end up ultimately fighting about stuff and you can agree on most stuff. And, the sitting there waiting to be served divorce papers period is really stressful because you're anticipating and you're waiting for a server to come, but there's actually ways you can be served by mail or by agreement so that you don't have to sit there and wait to be served. But I think that period of time in the beginning is almost always the most stressful because everything's unknown and uncertain and you're nervous and all of the emotions are new. And I think that that's, a large part of the stress of the divorce. And I actually think it gets easier as you go on because you get more used to it and the emotions are less strong as it goes on.
All right. Our last post of the day is getting started again. So we're 3 in a row here. How do you know divorce is the right thing? What are the signs that divorce is the right choice when you don't have any obvious signs like abuse? That's the path we're headed, and I think it's the right choice, but I start questioning it sometimes.
I'm not sure you can ever know for sure. It's totally a personal decision. I think once you've exhausted all other options, like talking to each other, therapy, um, trying to find, a common ground that you can both agree on and, fix the relationship, that's probably when it's the right time because there's really no options left. But again, it's such a personal decision. I don't think you can ever know for sure. You just have to decide when inside you feels right. You feel like you're totally done and you're ready to move on.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us on the Modern Divorce podcast, and go get your back to school supplies. It's funny, everything's on sale when like the inflation is the worst. But go shopping, get the good deals now.
Right.
See you next week.
Bye.
All right, bye.